Bases Dropped on Soccer's morning show. Sorry about 9:06. I got caught into trying to find things. It's like I could find things.
How dare you? 1 minute.
I know. But it's like you're trying to find things and you find the short version, and now Jarrett's trying to find the long version of it. And,
I already found it.
Oh, well, of course you did.
Millennials be millennialing.
Millennialing.
Okay. I don't know, man.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes, but there's graphics that I wanted to talk about the reach of Atlanta United and certain MLS teams. Had the short version, was trying to find the long version. So there's that. Hoping that our friends from Beyond Goals will join us at 9:30 as we get closer and closer to the regular season. And then we can get you prepped for the weekend. It looks like Manchester United might be getting a bid from Saudi Arabia, as we figured, and it's going to be a match race between the Saudi Arabian bid and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. U.S. Open Cup Round 2, the matchups were posted, and somebody close to those of us here at SDH is getting a home game. We'll go over that in hour number 2. Stupidity down here also will be going on, but there's actually something going on that might curb it a little bit. Might curb stupidity in Brazil. We got that, and we've also got stuff getting you ready for the weekend. And so that's where we are. And yes, Coco, Turner time becomes ESPN time, becomes Argentina time. Actually,
becomes MLS time. Eventually, we'll just go on the air at 9:09.
Yeah, I know. So we went normal, we went Turner, and now I guess Argentina. So I guess that's where we are. So
stay tuned for dinner and a movie after this. We'll be watching Turner and Hooch.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers, otherwise known as Chud, coming up after the movie. After the Braves, after so-and-so hits into a double play. You know, that was the best call ever.
It'd probably be well, funny enough, for the longest time, one of the codes on one of the message boards for double play was Vidro, for Jose Vidro, who played second base for the Expos in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yes.
Had a couple seasons where he hit like 320. Like, it was just full Braves killer, which basically all of Montreal was full Braves killer. Coincidentally, I think the record for double plays in a career is.
Whoop.
I don't know why we decided to label Jose Vidro as being a double play. You hit into a Vidro. I don't know where we got that because I don't think he led I don't think he ever led any specific league in any specific year in double plays, unless I'm mistaken.
I can't remember. I can't remember if he did a GIDP, if he led that category or not.
Oh man, it was usually like Javi Lopez was near the top of that category because Javi Lopez couldn't run out of sight in 2 days.
And obviously, this is our opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off of your purchase. And then, in turn, they take 10% reinvested into the youth game, kickoffcoffeeco.com. So we've started talking about Jose Vidro. Let's see.
Yes, Will, we can absolutely do this.
I was going to say, KSU Hoops storming toward 20 wins, got a big win last night in conference.
Hootie, and I cannot express this enough. Who?
Yes.
Because I can tell you, as someone who spent way too long at Kennesaw State, we never went to basketball games when they went D1 because they was trash. After Tony Ingle left, it got dark real fast, and it stayed dark for a long-ass time. Lewis Preston wasn't fixing it.
No.
It got dark for a while. Jimmy Lawton was there for a bit. I think he's coaching private school ball, like up in the Midwest now. I thought Jimmy Lawton was going to be a good one, and I don't know if there were like politics at play, but he didn't stick. And now it's been like year 3 or 4 of this experiment, and hey, there's only one team that might go dancing from the state of Georgia, and it's not Georgia State this time. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, well, in Coco, in basketball down here, Southern choked a double-digit lead multiple times last night to Marshall. And just happy college baseball, and Banana Ball is back today. Banana Ball World Tour is back today, as a matter of fact.
And so the baseball thing's also interesting from a Kennesaw perspective because you had Mike Sansing no longer running that program. He ran the program for like 20 years.
Yes, that is true.
Sansing was at Kennesaw. God, I mean, he was probably.
I mean, Sansing screamed. I mean, when you thought Kennesaw State baseball,
his last few years, and he walked away from the program. They get a new manager in place. They get a new program really built up in place at Kennesaw State. Last year they made a regional, and if y'all remember, because I think we were doing this in the Discord chat at the time, because I was melting down when Kennesaw blew an 11-run lead to LSU in the regional.
That is true.
And then blew a 9th-inning lead against Southern Miss, in that same regional. Kennesaw very easily could have won that regional.
Yes, they could have.
And that baseball team's kind of turning things around. They've all done this at the expense of the football team, which was absolute hot garbage last year.
Oof.
So,
let's see. So in GIDP down here, Will says Dimitri Young screams a double play. Good hitter, not fleet of foot. That is accurate. And let's see. So 21 wins now for Kennesaw State in hoops as they're storming toward the postseason. The Privateers of UNO open their season today at 3 against Kennesaw. So we have some symmetry here in the listener base. Coco letting us know that UNO and Kennesaw.
That's okay. In these early season baseball games, I'm much more forgiving of guys knocking rust off, taking their time. You're going to lose some early season series. That's okay.
The beauty of the snowbirds, Jared.
It's the beauty of baseball, and that you're just sitting there thinking, like, yeah, we're fine. Hey, why'd you start like 5 for 42? Just never hit well to start the season. I know I never did, personally.
So but 42 is a little worse than, so it's like a 192 average, about right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and it's also it's quicksand. Like the harder you try, the worse it's going to be. So it happens, but we'll have some UNO Kennesaw State action in baseball. That's fine by me. Mostly, like, I don't really care how the whole season goes. I just want to not become another footnote in history. I just want to not be a footnote in history, like you were last year, where Kennesaw just is like, hey, you know what? You know who's never given up that many runs in the season, or not? Never. I'm sorry, not that many runs in a season. You know who hasn't actually blown huge leads like that?
Yeah.
Like 11 runs in a regional where you had a blue blood SEC team on the ropes and then let them off the ropes.
Oh man.
Yeah, how about you don't do that this time?
I know.
Anyway, Kennesaw State basketball is fun again.
Yes,
for the first time since they've been D1.
Yes, Coco with the definitive thought. Don't be a trivia answer to someone else's record. Don't.
Yes.
Absolutely true.
This also applies to and this also applies to to the Atlanta Falcons.
That is true. Emilio with New York Mets down here this morning. And again, Felix Mion, or maybe actually it might be old Atlanta Braves. I don't know. It depends on when this was. Felix Mion hit 4 singles. Joe Torre followed up each single with a grounder, resulting in 4 double plays. So that's either very, very old Atlanta Braves down here or old New York Mets down here, depending on when both of them were with the roster, because they played on both teams, and I have the baseball cards to prove it. I just don't know. Okay, so it is Mets down here with Emilio. Okay, so it was Mets down here with Mion and Joe Torre. Felix Mion goes 4 for 4. Joe Torre wipes them all out in 1975. Ricky's asking, why are you choosing violence this morning, Jarrett?
Because I have had to watch multiple of my teams set really unsavory records, and you're all going to suffer with me. No offense. We're all going to suffer together. We all float down here, buddy.
Yes. Coco says that we can all laugh at the Mets today. Earmuffs, Emilio. And Coco says that everything's going on, but that's just because it's a Friday. Okay. Friday. There we go. So, Will, what the hell is going on? It's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. We have gone down the college baseball, pro baseball, college hoops rabbit hole. Will walks in, the Braves are catching strays. No, we were
The
talking.
Braves don't have to worry about catching. Travis d'Arnaud's still really good, and they got Sean Murphy locked up for the foreseeable future. Catching is literally the last thing the Braves have to worry about.
Yes. And Ricky goes, they're my teams too, Jarrett. Coco, the Mets are laughable, sponsored by our friends at Kickoff Coffee.
Always.
So we went to college basketball and talked about Kennesaw State now with 21 wins on the year. Georgia Southern blowing 2 double-digit leads to Marshall in the Fun Belt. And that gravitated toward baseball, the Snowbird scheduled baseball, UNO playing Kennesaw State in said sport, and working our way through Mets trivia and all of that kind of stuff. Will says the Tech is going to Omaha this year. He has not specified if that's going to be to watch or to participate. Coco says,
Jesus.
Crank up the ESPN Plus subscription, boys. It's college baseball season. You ain't kidding. Will is manifesting.
And to some of these points, like if you're not indoctrinated already, I promise you're not really ready for like Sun Belt athletics out.
No.
Especially like we know that the Sun Beast in football is a thing. I promise you're not ready for basically Sun Belt in other sports.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really weird, and it does it very, very quickly.
Yes, which is absolutely true. Taking us to the bottom of the hour, hopefully, and we'll see if our friends from Beyond Goals and their hyper busy schedules will be able to join us.
Hey, Will, you know what Georgia Tech needs to do? Georgia Tech needs to call an old school move. They need to schedule a basketball game with Kennesaw so we can get Pastner fired for you, just like we got your old head coach fired.
There you go.
It worked last time.
Yes, that's our opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, Kickoff Coffee Co, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. And thanks to all of you who have, because you get 15% off your purchase with Kickoff Coffee. They in turn take 10% and roll it over into youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. College baseball is a cult, according to Will. And
you're right, though. It is just they're all baseball schools and they all hate each other.
Yes,
in the Sun Belt. Like Sun Belt baseball is hilarious because it's not even the Sun Belt is a very good example of it, but it's not the only one. What you have here is a bunch of these schools that are not SEC schools in the South that are recruiting talent from all over the South, especially Georgia, which we know Georgia is talent rich in football. Georgia's hella talent rich in baseball. And you have these schools like recruiting guys who didn't go pro, but are still really damn good and indoctrinating them into the hatred of other schools in the area. And it's just the most beautiful thing.
Yep. Coco says, baseball's where the Fun Belt turns into a knockdown, drag-out slugfest. These are all baseball schools. They all hate each other.
Yeah.
And Coco admits, dropping a Nick reference in here, Sun Belt baseball is a Serie B knife fight. Not wrong. Will admitting that they used up all their firing monies to get rid of Jeff Collins. Sun Belt knife fight baseball wasn't done on purpose, but the Sun Belt was built to be a baseball conference. And Coco says everybody loved bringing Coastal Carolina in for football. They didn't realize that Coastal was a dominant baseball school. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. But before the bottom of the hour, I wanted to talk about jerseys. And we got into it yesterday a little bit, and we talked to Nico Moreno about the Bruce Lee jersey for Seattle yesterday. And he digs it. I mean, they follow up Jimi Hendrix with Bruce Lee, by the way, which that's some pretty strong stuff. And they hit 50,000 for the donation in like hours for the Bruce Lee Foundation. But Nashville yesterday releases their Man in Black kit honoring the life and legacy of Johnny Cash. Home match against NYC February 25th is going to be the first time that they trot out the Man in Black kit. Collaboration with the estate of Johnny Cash, Sandbox Succession, and Wasserman Music, inspired by the Backline Supporters Collective, the club's fans, and the all-black ensemble embellished by dark graphite and iron metallic accents, including a tag of Johnny Cash's iconic photo at Folsom Prison, autograph on the back of the neck. See, now, this is dangerous for me. And you got a quote from John Carter Cash in here as well. This is dangerous for me. The idea of this kit, the Bruce Lee kit, I could go to the poorhouse very, very quickly with how Major League Soccer is piecing these things together this year, Jared.
Yeah, it's as we have talked about before. Where's my damn Outcast kit, Atlanta? Like, where's my AT Aliens kit? Make it weird. Let Andre come in and design it.
Oh man, could you imagine? Could you imagine if you got an Outcast and AT Aliens Atlanta United kit? I mean, we have to.
No, I can't because they won't do it yet.
No, but we can imagine it. It just hasn't manifested itself yet.
Yeah, I'm just
And
do it.
Ricky, overall, and folks are telling us what they dig and what they don't dig. But Ricky, overall, we can clap it up for Adidas. Didn't make a single white kit with the release.
I wonder how much Apple had to do with that. I wonder if Apple rolled in like, hey, we got the games now. Okay, so about these kits, Adidas, we're gonna need you to
thinking out loud.
If you could just make the kits better, that would be great.
No, we're thinking, it's our first year as the TV partner, and we'd like the jerseys to kind of be a certain way. We just no white jerseys. If you did no white, if you actually like put colors, that would be great. It just thinking out loud here for a second. Just kind of take it into advisement. Just kind of an idea. Coco and I had to turn the fan base friendly again with another 5-stripe kit before going into ATL or Outcast. Alex,
cool, mission accomplished.
Yes,
you did that.
Alex Bassine's calling for a sewn flute pocket.
Okay. Let Andre come in and design it. Let it get weird.
Coco says the Fire got the closest to the white T-shirt, and they mixed it up by putting the crest mid-chest. Away kits are always more creative freedom, and the SKC kit is a rehash of every SKC kit ever. So not really a surprise. But no, I mean, for me, I've did you see the Cherry Blossom kit that finally got released? It took Olive and York doing a Cherry Blossom kit for DC United to realize, hey, maybe we should do a Cherry Blossom kit.
Okay, I'm also going to sit here and tell you that I think you're shortchanging the Washington Nationals, who also did a Cherry Blossom uniform that was absolutely constructed. Gorgeous.
The hat was gorgeous. I mean, I could go to the poorhouse with that Cherry Blossom stuff with them. Oh my goodness!
I'm just saying, like, don't shortchange the.
I was saying
don't shortchange the Nationals. I
was going soccer specific, but the Nationals Cherry Blossom stuff was amazing, and that reminds me, I need to grab one of their hats. I'm not a basketball person, Ricky, so I wouldn't know that the Wizards did a Cherry Blossom jersey, but good on them if they did. But yeah, the Cherry Blossom stuff from the Nationals, and then from a soccer perspective, Olive and York burst out Cherry Blossom kit on their own. DC finally has the Cherry Blossom kit, so good on DC United for doing that. But yeah, I've got to go in no order: DC United, Nashville, and Portland, and Seattle. Those are the three that I really like. Oh, Will, great idea. Need one of the Texas teams to do a blue bonnet kit.
Yeah.
That would probably wouldn't that be the Dynamo by default? Because wasn't that where the bowl game was? Astro blue bonnet. So yeah, it would have to be Houston that would do a blue bonnet kit.
If Houston really wants to make my day, Houston needs to do like an Astrodome kit. Like make a kit the color of the old AstroTurf.
Oh,
like that bright green that just is designed to burn your eyes out.
Yeah, and Coco's asking, why did LAFC think a camo kit was a good idea? That I don't know. I mean, LAG did a kit for Heritage to Mexico, which I thought was really cool. And Ricky likes Dallas's kit more than most. But I don't know why LAFC thought that. Morning, Tom. Have you survived? Have you recovered from your birthday celebrations yet? Yeah, Coco. Team with black and gold colors going green camo. I have no clue. Like I said, I have no idea. Galaxy leaning into the green, yes, great look for them. And considering that they've done it, in the old days with the, I don't know what you'd want to call that weird offset triangle logo thing. NYC Subway tile sublimated crest is also solid. I will agree with you there. And so I mean it's okay. So here's Tom. Here's the official word from Tom on his birthday. Yesterday morning was a wee bit rough, but he has somewhat recovered from his birthday celebration.
What we asked for.
Yes, 4-card. LAFC is all about the camo. Remember a few years ago when the fans wore camo at the LAG game? It just reminds me of the University of Miami hopping off a plane. That's all it reminds me of. And the fact that when I try to do that particular move with that particular letter that they have at the University of Boca Raton, my thumbs kind of stop a couple of inches before each other, and then they start to repel like magnets. I can't quite do that particular move. So that's all it reminds me of. When anybody goes camo, it just reminds me of a college football team in the 80s hopping off a plane, going to the Fiesta Bowl. Yes. Coral Gables Community College. Absolutely offended that I would say that about them. Ricky says Colorado might have the best kit, honestly, and he appreciates the messaging with it. So, I mean, Colorado is another one with the Rapids that's done really well. But obviously, I'm a guy that kind of likes splash. I like splash and different. Wow. Wow. Tom is really going Everton in the timeline this morning. So there you go. Wow. Man, happy birthday. But the more splashy for me, Jarrett, the kits are, the more imagination that goes into them, I guess the more I'm prone to spending an incredible amount of money. But I can't spend $160 though.
No, that's, again, we talked about this. This is why you buy them in weird places.
Absolutely true. So you're going to come back after 10 o'clock?
That's the game plan.
All right. Well, we'll see you after 10 o'clock.
All right.
All right. So it is that time where John tackles technology. We'll see if John can tackle technology appropriately here, because that means we roll this intro on a Friday. Friday Free Kick with Greg Garza.
How's it going?
You tell me, what's the shirt this morning? What's the team?
The shirt is Stefan Janoski. I think he's a skateboarder, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so you're styling and profiling. You're styling and profiling with skaters. Okay.
Yeah, it's Nike. It's Nike. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so I was trying to figure out what I was looking at, because you know me, when it comes to wearing anything that's got a graphic on it, I'm a sucker for logos and things like that. I just wanted to see what was going on. All right, so what's the lid? What's the lid this morning? What's up top?
This is because if I take it off, my hair is going to be like this big. And
well, no, just tilt the logo down. That's all right. There you
go. This is Gurin Bros. These guys got some pretty cool hats.
Okay.
It says Stallion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, I've just got to see, because like being a logo guy, I'm going to sit there and it's like, okay, what are folks wearing? Am I not hip enough? Do I not know what's going on? What's going on with everything there? But Greg,
no, these hats they have at Pont City Market, or these beanies. They have a cool store there called Gurin Bros. These are called like the Animal Farm hats. So they got every animal you could ever think of.
Okay. So what is I'm going to go ahead and start what I usually start with the end. What's the latest going on with you and Parky and Beyond Goals? What's the latest?
Everything's been great. Obviously, speaking to as many high schools as we can, and at the end of the day, trying to grow as much as possible, creating those relationships, also building on the nonprofit side of things. So if anyone out there works for a big organization or corporation that would love to sponsor kids from lesser income communities, or also at-risk teens who can use sport as a way to create something for them in the future, we would love to connect. So that's kind of where we are right now.
All right. So I know that we talk about building, and we talk about growth as entities and things like that. When you look back to day one of Beyond Goals, when you and Parky and everyone associated with Beyond Goals said, okay, we want to do this. Look back to that first day. Do you remember what that first day was like when you guys sat down? It's like, yeah, let's do this. What was that first day like?
Yeah, I remember I was in the car and I had got a call from Parky mentioning the fact of just having this idea, right? This idea of something that we had already been doing, but just not in a business sense, or not in a business formality, right? Um, I remember talking to each other and giving each other these ideas of things that we had done to try and help young pro athletes or young pro soccer players who had been in our shoes, unfortunately, kind of throw it all away. Whether it was the decisions that they made, whether it was just not understanding the commitment that went behind it, whether it was all of these different things of not even getting their second contract or whatever it may have been. And Parky had this idea of wanting to work with kids that were in the same boat of opportunity, that had the same opportunity at hand or right in front of them, and helping them understand that it took these components or these assets or these traits or these qualities to hold on to it and not let go. And it wasn't just about making it; it was about making it last. That was the initial idea, and we had initially worked with Noah Cobb. I had been speaking to another kid that was coming up through the system that was dealing with a really bad injury, right? And so they had reached out to me to just kind of get my insight of the patience factor of going through so many injuries, of just so many different things, of just being almost this big brother to so many different players, and we were already doing that in so many different ways. And I think when that idea kind of sparked, we realized, okay, this is something that's much needed. This is something that what the heck, let's just go ahead and give it a try. And we started creating lab rat kids, of just speaking to a various number of kids, obviously pro bono at the time, and not creating a business out of it, but just giving back our time and just seeing if it was something that would kind of take. And then after a few kids, we got such great feedback from the families and such great feedback from the parents in regards to what we were doing. And every parent that we spoke to just kept telling us this is so much needed. We can only say so much. We can only do so much. Their coaches can only do so much. But having someone that is in their corner, having someone that has been there, done that, having someone that can give that type of insight and background and experience and knowledge and wisdom is so important in today's world. Whether these kids, and I think that's kind of where we sparked that idea of whether these kids play soccer for the rest of their lives, and there's only a handful and a very small percentage of those kids to do that, or whether they, become doctors or lawyers or nurses or whatever it may be. There's so many vital assets that we learned, that were essential to our success on the field. Just that little bitty idea about a year and a half ago of Michael calling me while I was in the car and kind of telling me what we had already been doing and let's make a business out of it, has now grown into having the ability to impact probably over 3,000 kids so far. Not on an individual basis, but just in total. And I think on an individual basis, we're not actively, but we are over about 250 kids right now. So, to be able to impact within a year and a half so many kids on so many different levels, whether it be kids from at-risk communities or Title I schools within Atlanta, or just kids that are going on both ends of the spectrum, has been amazing to give back to the game that they gave so much to us.
How much of the conversations that you have, regardless of category, at risk, tier one, what have you, how much of the conversations are about the same things and how much of the conversations are different when it comes to topics and handling being a mentor? Is there a universality to it, or is it pretty much individual? It's okay, this is here, this is here, this is here.
That is a great question, and that's probably the biggest question we get from every single parent that we speak to before they get involved and before they register, before they sign up with us. And there is no universality. There's no universality to it. It is completely custom tailored and custom based to each and every individual of what they are going through, how they think of themselves, their self-evaluation, their self-acceptance within today's community and today's world, on the field or off the field. And that's the beauty of it. That's where we kind of learn as well so much from the mentorship side of it, is just how to really meet the needs of every individual, meet the needs of every player, whether it be boy, girl, whatever might be happening within their lives, and how we can relate and how we can kind of, it's the coolest thing, I think, for Mike and I, is how we can use individual experiences for every single player that we work with. And there's so much correlation to it, because one kid might tell me something that's going on in their life or within their soccer career, and I have 5 different examples that I can give them that they can relate to. Whereas another kid might give me an example of what they're going through, and I might have 5 different examples of things that I went through in my career that are that will help them understand what they're going through. And the coolest thing is that they're able to see someone in my shoes get to the other side, right? Get over that hurdle and let them know, hey, there was a way out. There was a very difficult obstacle to face, or a challenge to face, but there was light at the end of that tunnel. And I think there's so many moments in our lives, in our personal lives, to where when we hear it from someone else that's kind of been through something similar and realize that they made it out, it's just like, you have the one girl that I think's been attacked by she was a professional surfer and has been attacked by a shark. And now she dedicates her whole entire life to, shark research or whatever it may be. And she helps people, who go through shark attacks, because she's been through it and she knows exactly what comes after and the aftermath of everything. And she helps those people understand, hey, there is a way out. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's kind of, the same. I mean, that's much more severe than anything we would ever endure or go through. But from a similarity of just understanding that there is a way out in so many different areas is pretty cool.
Do any of your mentees, or does the feedback get back to you from your mentees about them talking to each other? Not necessarily like teammates and things like that, but do different pockets of mentees get the chance to interact just because of hearing about, Parky and Greg, they were talking to us. Oh yeah, they were talking to us too. Is there any kind of crosstalk between mentees? Have you heard about anything like that?
For sure. Most definitely. We have kids that I give you a great example. We have a kid that didn't want to take the traditional college route within the United States, and is doing like a different college route within the UK, and applied for so many different schools and wanted to play soccer within the UK in college, which is in our minds kind of a little unheard of, but for us to learn about it and kind of understand, and hopefully it could open the doors. And other players had gone through that within the UK to open maybe professional doors for them in the future, whatever it may be, of just still getting your education, but on a different platform. And I've been able to connect 2 kids that are in the same boat. They both live in different places, but they applied to the same exact schools, and they both got accepted into the same school. So that's pretty cool, of both of them living within the United States, but we'll have the opportunity now to connect through me, of me being their mentor, to now use, I guess, my knowledge of things that I went through living abroad and playing abroad, and they'll be able to connect when they move to the UK. So they're now we're all interconnected of kind of understanding the mental strength and the mental conditioning that goes behind. But they've been able to, now they'll go to a foreign place and already know someone, right? And so I think that's important. And when we have things like that, it's great, whether the kids are on the same team or whether they play within ODP together or whether they play within the academy together. There's so many things that I'm sure they speak about that will ultimately help them not only individual but also in a collective sense as well.
Does it seem like it's been a year and a half that you and Parkey and everyone attached to Beyond Goals have been doing this for a year and a half?
I would say in a sense, it seems like we started yesterday. But at the same time, it feels like we've been doing this our whole lives. Because I think one of the most important things for me, and it was really cool. We had a really good conversation with another player. We spoke with Darlington Nagbe a couple weeks ago, and we just spoke to another player last night, which we will be releasing on our YouTube channel as well, which we also just released.
Go. There's the tease. Boy.
Yeah. So we're trying to dive into the mindset of so anyone out there who wants to watch that, diving into the mindset of Darlington Nagbe, and we'll have another player that we'll release, I believe, within the next week or so. Because that's not on us. We have two beautiful and amazing interns that help us out on the technology side, because we are terrible at that, and getting our YouTube channel set up and all that kind of stuff. So they are editing the next video that we have of another Atlanta United legend, who will be kind of giving their story and their insight and their knowledge and wisdom and everything that they've learned throughout the years, and how it is to it's so cool because we give so much information that people don't see outside of the curtains, right? And to release that and kind of dive into their minds and help people understand that these things go on inside, just the resilience or coping with failure and so many other things, in the professional athlete world, is a lot of unknown, and so it'll be fun to share that as well here in the next week or so.
When you catch up with peers like Darlington and the soon-to-be named fellow Atlanta United teammate, when you catch up with your peers for Beyond Goals and get to send this information to your mentees, how much of a learning experience is it for you when you get to do these digs and these deep dives with these teammates and peers about things that you didn't know, but can also help you as a mentor going forward with mentees?
This next person that we have spoken to, I use him all the time. I use him all the time of understanding what it takes to be an unbelievable rookie. A rookie who asks questions, a rookie who is in a new environment to where you're playing around players that have just been purchased for $1 million or millions of dollars, right? Are making much more millions than you are, right? And still you're able to still settle within the team and still do great. And you're a new kid on the block and everything is new. And college environment is much different from a professional environment. Non-college environment is much different than a professional environment, whatever route and pathway you take. But he was someone that, took it all in. He took it all in. He asked the veterans so many questions. He sat down with the older guys. He was just, he wanted to get so much, wealth of the knowledge that everybody had around him. And the coolest thing that he said is that there was a lot that I didn't take, and there was so much that I did take to help benefit and boost me up as much as I could. And we're so proud of him, for how far he's come. But it just shows, so many different paths and routes you can take to achieve success and within the professional world. And he's and those things, just hearing it from him, on a video chat, just kind of, exemplifies everything that we speak about and everything that we work towards in helping these kids understand. And he's a perfect example of it. And so I think that's the coolest thing as well, as all these guys that we connect with, whether they're current players, former players, and I think we'll be diving in to scouts. We'll be speaking to scouts. We'll be speaking to doctors. We'll be speaking to physical trainers. We'll be speaking to coaches. We'll be speaking to college coaches, college scouts, all of these different people that, we want to dive into what they look for, or things, what's, nutritionists, what's important on what to eat, and just kind of giving little snippets for these kids to understand the importance of being a 24/7 athlete, because that's something that we preach, right? Ultimately, it's an internal decision on how bad you want it, right? And whether you want to be successful in anything, there's so many things that are beneath the iceberg to aim for that success and achieve that success and whatever you want. So it's going to be really fun to dive into a lot of these people's mindsets and learn from them, and kind of see how we took each and every bit of that information within our own careers, but see what else they have to say for these kids that are still coming up the ranks and learning.
Greg Garza, Friday Free Kick here on SDH, where we get to peel back what's going on at our friends with Beyond Goals Mentoring. There are so many different lanes of traffic that you can take when it comes to being a mentor. You mentioned training, you mentioned physio, you mentioned the athletic aspect of it. There's a question that we ask occasionally: the table for four, table for five. If you and Parky could have the ultimate sit down mentoring dinner that would be turned around and shown to mentees for Beyond Goals, who would you guys sit down with? And like I said, could be anybody. I mean, it could be Michelangelo, it could be Galileo, could be Copernicus, whomever. Could be soccer related, could be not soccer related. If you had your ultimate table for, well, since it's you and Parky, let's go table for 5 or 6. What 3 or 4 other folks would you, in a perfect world, love to sit there and have, so you could take that information, learn from it yourself as a mentor, but you could share with your mentees? Who would be at that table at the Applebee's, hanging out?
The round table.
Yeah, who's your ultimate round table for 3 or 4 to sit with you and Parker?
At the Holy Grail round table.
Yes,
I'd have to. No, you know what? I think about that all the time because we use so many references within. I would make it larger.
Okay, go for it.
I would say if we were able to rewind back time
Mm-hmm.
and create an all or nothing within Atlanta United in the 2018 championship run, that would be amazing, because we had drama, which I'm sure everybody knows. We had dealing with different types of teammates. We had culture shocks. We had adversity. We had injuries. We had all of these different things. And I mean, I get the chills whenever I love watching anything Pep Guardiola, or I love watching Man City play, just the way that they play, because that's if I watch soccer, that's the type of soccer I want to watch, because that relates to how I play. Just very simple and systematic and just logical thinking, and understanding the moments to take risks. But they're all or nothing every time I watch it. My kids want to watch it every day, and even though they say so many bad words within the locker room and all that kind of stuff, but
Yes.
my kids were born into that, and they were in the locker room all the time, so they've been through a lot and they've seen a lot of different stuff. But I get the chills every time I watch that show. And my kids, they come to the house on the weekends and they want to watch that. They want to watch that over and over and over and over again. And it's like, we've seen this episode 17 times. And it's every time you watch it, you still get the chills of their preparation to be successful within that season that they were successful. And it's not only the preparation, it's the training, it's the video, it's the nutrition, it's everything, all of these different pieces of the puzzle to make that organization be so successful throughout the longevity of years that they have been successful. And if I could make a round table of that success that we had within 2018 of the MLS Cup run, because there were so many moving pieces within that year, that made it such a special year. And I would like to get all of the information to be able to dish out to our mentees of how that year went. Because there were so many crazy moments that we had to deal with, that we had to overcome. We had to deal internally with our coach already deciding halfway through that he was going to be taking another job the next year, right? And so it was like, okay, is he going to care the rest of the season on what happens, or is he ready to walk out the door and go on and focus on with his next project, right? So there's so many different moving pieces that we had to deal with internally and also cope with. And that's why we say this is the most important thing, because there's so many roller coaster moments that we went through within that one particular season, and success came at the end of it. And so that's such a good story to give, and such a good story to pick different brains and kind of see how people think and what they went through. And if we could pick out the brains of everybody that was involved in that run, that would be my round table. If we could do this awesome Christmas dinner with everybody, like this family reunion of everyone there, I think it'd be great.
All right, so let me come up with a random name that probably won't be so random at this Christmas dinner. And if the best advice that you got from, say, a guy like Jeff Lorenowitz, what's the best piece of mentoring that you could pull from Big Red that you've carried with you forward?
Mr. Larry, yeah. I would say, from him, he was one of the guys that ultimately wanted to do what we do today. We were the Three Musketeers and wanting to launch this Beyond Goals mentoring, and unfortunately he took a different route at the end of it, and we wish him so much success. And but he is a guy that was a part of this plan. That was a part of what we, and who knows, in the future, as we continue to grow, he might be able to come back in and supply us, not only us, but other kids and people that are going through certain situations and routes and paths, the knowledge that he has. My main question for Jeff was, I look at Jeff and I see him as such a pivotal piece to everywhere that he played, but in an industrial way, right? He is the true definition of an industrial player that knows exactly what his role is and doesn't shy away from it. Doesn't do anything more, doesn't ask for more, doesn't complain about anything, just goes in and does his job to the best of his ability and is able to, create success within a lot of organizations that he played around, whether it be in Colorado, whether it be in the Revs, whether it be in the Galaxy, right? Whether it be with Atlanta and all the different places that he played, he was able to achieve, quite a bit of success. This guy has over, I don't know how many hundreds of games within the league starting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about a guy who's never came in as a huge signing, never came in as a guy who, made hundreds of thousands of bucks, right? He just came in as a guy that, there's the definition of someone who knows exactly what their role is and is able to achieve his role the best way possible, as a leader, as a player, as whatever it may have been that he was in so many different places. So I learned so much from Jay. He is by far, of all the teams that I played for within my whole entire career, the most intelligent individual that I've ever been around in my whole entire life, probably. You talk about a guy who went to Brown. You talk about a guy who, he just logically thinking, most intelligent, intellectual person I've ever been around in my career within a locker room. The smartest individual. How articulate he was, how how he was able to explain things that he wanted to explain. I learned so much from him just on the maturity side, of understanding, even the political and the business side of what you go through. Definitely the smartest guy. We Parky and I would sit in the hot tub before training to kind of get our bodies warm before we saw the physios in the morning, and we would do myself, Parky, and Chris McCann. We'd all sit in the hot tub and we'd try and finish a crossword puzzle the fastest. I still do them today, but we try and finish a crossword puzzle as fast as we could every single morning. We were the first ones in training. We'd eat breakfast all together. Jeff was with us, and Jeff would hop in the hot tub at times. It depended on the day. He had already been through all that and kind of, just would focus on his own things, but he would look at the crossword, and if we had, we were missing 5 words within, we had been sitting there for 15, 20 minutes, and he would complete the crossword within 20 seconds. And it was just like, it was unbelievable. And I've never seen anyone, another guy that I played with, like Will Trapp, was great at crosswords, but no one I've ever put, and you could even see the U.S. national team. I think that was an idea that Will and maybe I myself took with the U.S. national team. They do it all the time, but that's based on Jeff and Mike and these guys to kind of get their minds going before training and kind of focus on things that were pretty cool. And Jeff is a guy that, I mean, what a mindset, what a mind he had in general. So there's so many different ways we could pick his brain.
At this Christmas dinner, it almost reminds me of Survive in Advance, where Terry Gannon and Derek Wittenberg have all of the folks from the NC State team, and they're just kind of reminiscing about that run. Who would surprise those of us who are not at that table as to being one of the deeper thinkers, somebody who maybe wouldn't say a whole lot, but then when they did, it made a whole lot of impact? Was there someone who was kind of off the board that would come in and like deliver a sledgehammer at a key moment, and you're like, man, when that person speaks, they really hit it hard and they don't speak a whole lot? Was there someone that made that kind of an impact that was just like, one, hit it hard and you're like, wow, that was really there? Was there someone who was like that in 2018?
Yeah, I would say I would pick Darlington. I would pick Darlington as that player, because such a smart, intelligent player, but is very quiet, right? He usually sticks around with the people that he trusts and the people that are within his clique and within his environment, who he feels comfortable with. But whenever he did say something, everyone listened, because of how great of a player he was, right? And Parkey speaks about that all the time, of players being able to gain what, in his opinion, is the most important word that you can gain in any organization, is the word respect. And Nagby Darlington was a player that gained everyone's respect, not just by the person that he was because of how quiet he was, but by his playing. And everywhere he goes, that guy earns everyone's respect, because everywhere he has played, I guarantee you, if anyone says the best player that I've played around, at every team that he's played for, I guarantee you they say Darlington Nagby. Whether it be Portland, whether it be Columbus, whether it be Atlanta, one of the best players I've ever been around, and just talent-wise, and the ability to release pressure, the ability to just give it to him with 5 guys around him and just know that he's going to get out of pressure, right? I had no fear in just giving him the ball and say, here, do what you do, get us out of this pressured moment. But he was a guy that was extremely quiet off the field, but if he did say something, everyone listened, because of the amount of respect I think people had for him, and the way that he played. And with us, or obviously, right, the guys that he, I guess we consider ourselves all best buds and best friends, and we could talk to him about absolutely anything and everything, right? We had our banter, but everybody else, if he did say something, I'm most definitely positive they listened. They listened quite closely to what he had to say.
And you can catch the conversation that Darlington had with Beyond Goals on all of their social media and all their YouTube platforms and things like that. Question before you go.
Yes.
Adidas has released the jerseys for this upcoming season, and Coco is asking what your thoughts are on Five Stripes version 2.0 with more gold and the stripes flipped from where they were previously.
I love the New Jersey. I'm still waiting for mine in the mail.
There you go.
They Atlanta United did me dirty. They asked me last year what my size was. They were going to send me the Forest screen, which yet I still haven't received. So I'm hoping. They asked me for my address this year to be one of the ATL legends for my New Jersey, and hopefully I can wear it to the opening game. So I will be there opening game. I think I have a Home Depot backyard appearance. So if anybody wants to come say hi, I think I'll be there a few hours before the game, hanging out with everyone down there. So yeah, we have this new, which is great. I think it's something that was much needed. We have this new ATL Legends, Atlanta United Legends program, which is from all of us guys who played and were able to achieve some pretty cool success within the team. So hopefully I can get my jersey to wear it to the game, because I don't think I'm a small anymore with the jerseys that I wore when I played. So hopefully they can send me a schmedium, so I can still look quite good in it.
So you can style a profile and go gun show with the schmedium and sit there and do the flexing at the backyard.
There you go. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. So, Greg, as always, thanks for hanging out with us when you and Parky do here at 9:30 every Friday at BG Mentoring on the Twitters, Beyond Goals Mentoring on social media. We will see you on Saturday, next Saturday, for the home opener against San Jose. Great to catch up with you, my friend. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, guys. Hoping it's a first W to start off the season.
I like how he thinks. As always, Greg Garza, Beyond Goals Mentoring, BG Mentoring on the Twitters. Great to catch up with Greg. Great to catch up with Parky and kind of peel back the curtain about what it's like to be a mentor and all the valuable stuff that we get from them. And now that he's mentioned it, the idea of that 2018 revisiting for All or Nothing, I think if you could do it kind of like for those of you that saw the Survive in Advance, for the 30 for 30, where Derek Whittenberg got the 84 NC State team together and they had the gathering and they get to reminisce about teammates that are no longer with us and things like that. And they get to tell the story of the run. If you could get them all in one setting, if you could just get them all in like one room and have them just talk about that particular run, that reminiscence, I will say it right now, I would love to be able to see that happen. I know it's difficult to get 25 or 30 folks in one room to kind of reminisce, but maybe you get some Malbecs, maybe you get a good spread together and make that happen. But very, very, very cool to hear that this morning from Greg Garza, once again, at BG Mentoring on the Twitters. And yes, Medium Life for those of you who are mediums. And man, $200 for a customized kit. That is wild. And Ricky got your question answered. But Greg Garza. So Greg Garza, breaking news here this morning. He'll be at the part of the ATL Legends series, I guess, at the Home Depot backyard a couple hours before the match next Saturday against San Jose. So it'll be good to see Greg there as well. So yes, $200 for a customized kit is crazy. Now that we have cleared the top of hour number 2, or we've cleared the 10 o'clock hour. All right, so here we go with the audio test again. All right, take it out of loop. Down from 50. Put it to 12. It's at 12, people. All right, so remember this. 11, you almost didn't hear it. So we'll see what happens with 12. We're going to hit rock, the kind of music for the background. And we're going to talk about our friends from Lemonize. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, it's a Lemonize service. A Lemonize service deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Lemonize has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell and rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers, kind of the environment we like that these days. A very green way of going about your day without any kind of odors, getting rid of odors without any toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or any other masking agent that you have either above you in the cupboard or below you below your sink. Because when you go below the sink or above you in the cupboard, you pull out that masking agent, spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent, because it just masks the odor. It does not attack the problem like our friends at a Lemonize service do with their proven scientific formula. All the way down to the molecule, they attack it. Pricing very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, any questions, go to the website. This is where I grab my pen. It's lemonize.com, but after the .com, do us a favor, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world, meaning our friends at Lemonize, that's the day, that they know where you are so they can help you with your problems. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. Lemonize service, odor-free, clean, fresh air, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Freestyle Friday. That's 12. And this is not. As we attempt to fade. All right, so it is completely faded out. That was 12. Whatever 12 was. Mal Swanson, that is all. Yes. I have heard that this Mal Swanson, who has apparently substituted. Vlatko has swapped out Mal Swanson in place of Mallory Pugh. So this Mal Swanson swap out that Vlatko had it worked very, very well last night at She Believes. And Alex, you might be correct that it might be that individual, might be G Brand who would be their interview. But yes, back quickly to this new pickup for Vlatko Andonovski, Mal Swanson. 2-0 in the win last night over Canada, but a very, very cool thing happening at center circle before the match started. And all I'm going to say is Canada soccer, if you weren't on notice heading into the tournament, you're more on notice now. And it's on. I mean, it's on and a half, and it's going to be very, very interesting. And so we'll see what happens going forward. News from Rick Westhead at TSN, who is a must-follow in all of this. R. Westhead on Twitter. He's the lead investigative reporter for TSN up in Canada. This morning, or late yesterday afternoon, the Heritage Committee passed a motion yesterday to invite Canada Soccer's Nick Bontis and Earl Cochran to testify in early March about alleged unequal treatment of the WNT players. Member of Parliament Peter Julian told Westhead. Julian added, subpoenas will be forthcoming if invitations are declined. Quote from Julian. If Canada Soccer stonewalls, that would be a mistake. They need to be transparent with the Canadian public. If they are not, we will compel them to come back for more questions, end quote. Testimony could happen March 6th, 9, or during the third week of March, according to Julian to Rick Westhead of TSN. So we'll keep an eye on that. But a very, very cool show of support for the Canada women's team before the match last night by U.S. Soccer. Very, very cool moment that really, frankly, we should not have we should not have gotten to. But yeah, all right, Canada Soccer, it's up to you now. Also on the board this morning, got a couple of other things here, and we had mentioned, and I guess we'll kind of build up, and we'll have the thing that we were talking about with the county by county analysis of Major League Soccer and its impact in its zones. It's like, okay, county by county here in the United States, what team is the one that is tweeted about the most or has the most saturation? Interesting when it came to Atlanta United, and also interesting when it came to all of the other elements. No worries, Michael. We just started talking about it. At Center Circle, it was a show of solidarity with the U.S. women's national team and the Canadian women's national team. They got to stand together, and basically you had the U.S. team agreeing with Canada by a show of support, standing around at Center Circle before they went ahead, and Mal Swanson was part and parcel to winning 2-0. But it was just a show of support by the U.S. women's team, and very, very cool moment. But like I said, we'll see what Canada Soccer feels like they want to do now, because it looks like they're going to be compelled to testify in front of Parliament in early March, in a couple of weeks' time, about what's going on. And so they will have now Parliament to answer to if a member of Parliament has their way. And it comes down to, all right, so what's the deal? And you got to tell them. And if they don't show up, it looks like they may be compelled to testify. So we'll keep an eye on that. But no, just a very, very cool moment in U.S.'s win last night. They were a big favorite over Canada and won it 2-0. So we'll see what happens with Canada Soccer going forward. But as I dropped my pen this morning, that's not good. But yeah, so 2-0 yesterday, and it took Marta, I want to say, 3 touches to get involved in her first goal. Marta and Dabinia, against Japan yesterday. Marta to Dabinia, that is just crazy. And Marta, I think, she's what? She's been in an organized soccer for a good 712 years and can still produce within the Brazil system. And yeah, Dabinia and Marta combining yesterday. Yes, that is true, Alex. Absolutely true. Parliament isn't so bad. It's Funkadelic you have to worry about. And I know that, I was one of those guys that voted Clinton for president. And I was waiting for the P-Funk All-Stars to be the members of the cabinet. So there you go. So I was right there with you. Yes, Canada Soccer does need to get their act together, Michael. Underlined, exclamated, italicized, bold-faced font, very, very large font. They have to get their ish together. And so hopefully coming to Parliament, they'll have to answer some questions. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But there was a fan percentage team grid involving Atlanta United. So we'll get into that when Jarrett comes back on here in hour number 2. Making the rounds this morning with all of the news that is fit to print. You've got, it looks like, from our friends in the Premier League, it appears that you're going to be getting a bid from the Saudis on Manchester United. The deadline for bid submission is 5 o'clock this afternoon. 5 o'clock this afternoon is your bid interest. Once again, from Kabe Solakal, who we get to hear a lot from on a weekly basis over at Prem and Proper, which is on the network. The Glazers want at least £5 billion for Manchester United. The Qataris are determined not to overpay. Insider says they will not dance to the Glazers' tune if they decide to bid. Qatar is ready to spend significant sums to restore the team and the club's infrastructure to former glories. Understands investors from the U.S. and Saudi Arabia will also bid for the club alongside Sir Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos group, who've already made their intention to bid public. Rain is going to be a part of the analysis as well. Organizing the potential sale on behalf of the Glazers, they've asked for initial bids to be made. Once again, close of business East Coast time later today. Glazers, they want that £5 billion. Sky understands former Qatari Prime Minister Hamad bin Jassim bin Jaber Al Thani is linked to their bid, known as HBJ. I guess that makes him one better than HBK in some circles. Notable interests in London, and he's been a strong investment figure for several years, including properties and hotels around Hyde Park. A Qatari bid would lead to significant investment being made in the team, Old Trafford, and the city of Manchester. The training ground would also be a part of it. The training ground need to be redeveloped, and the Qataris are ready to spend significant sums in restoring the team. The Qatari bid would have the blessing of the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who is a Manchester United supporter, which makes sense. Qatar and the bid from Saudi Arabia expected to be the only ones which would not rely on borrowed money to finance the deal. The man that runs the Bird app has stayed silent on reports he's considering making a bid. He's a United supporter and has joked past on his Bird app about buying the club. Jim Ratcliffe working on a deal with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. If Qatar was to be the ones to get the bid, they would also remain committed to PSG, which is owned by QSI. And so this is where it gets into the different lanes of traffic here. So here's what you're worried about. And here's what folks are going to be looking at. And if you look at RB Leipzig, RB Salzburg, this is going to be that same argument. PSG is owned by Qatar Sports Investments, a subsidiary of QIA, Qatar Investments Authority. So it would be QIA that would be the owners of Manchester United if that came to pass, not QSI. And it would be up to QIA to sit here and say why QIA owning Manchester United would be different than QSI owning PSG. How's that for alphabet soup this morning? So this is what you're looking at. QSI, QIA. QIA, the parent company, is the parent element in all of this. The sovereign wealth fund of the nation is Qatar Investments Authority. They're the big dog here. The subsidiary is QSI, which owns PSG. So this is where they would have to massage the ownership and the relationship and sit there and tell the Premier League, yeah, we're separate. We're, everything's cool. So that's what you have going forward here. To satisfy UEFA rules about multi-club ownership, Manchester United would be owned by investors linked to the Qatari royal family. QSI bought a 70% stake in PSG back in the summer 2011. bought the rest of the shares the following summer in a deal which valued the club at 100 million euro. They spent 80 million euro on players in the summer of 2011. PSG, according to Forbes, is now worth 2.6 billion pounds. QSI's plans at PSG have been frustrated by the fact that the Parc des Princes that they want to redevelop is owned by the city of Paris. A Qatari bid for United would mean that they would own Old Trafford and could redevelop it and do whatever they want. Right now, QSI is looking to perhaps even build their own stadium as a part of the deal now. So unless they can negotiate something to where they can be an even partner in any kind of redevelopment of Parc des Princes, expansion, what have you, they might build their own place. Qatar's determined to buy or own a stake in a Premier League club this year to build on what they see as a success of the World Cup, although they are pleased with what they've achieved at PSG. Revenues of the Premier League are 3 times the size of Ligue 1, and the global profile of English football is much higher than French football. So, the Qataris, QIA, it looks like they're going to be going full bore to try to pick up Manchester United, and we will see what happens there. So that's the news when it comes to that particular element of the day. So keep an eye on 5 o'clock East Coast time. That would be your deadline for anybody to submit any kind of paperwork in what's going on with Manchester United, with QIA, with QSI, and the alphabet soup that is Qatar Investments and investing in football clubs. So you've got that to hang on to. You've also got stuff that's going on this weekend. You've got rival bidders should be worried, according to Solikol, about the Qataris coming in because, once again, this is not going to be financed. Qataris are going to be like, here, you got change for $5 billion? Great. Cool. Let's work. So that's where we are. Also on the board this morning, a couple of other things, courtesy of our friends at The Telegraph and The Guardian. Interesting news out of FIFA and CAS. FIFA is considering a rare CAS appeal over lifting of the Yves Jean Bart lifetime ban. Lodging a rare appeal, that's what they're thinking about, FIFA, against a ruling by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, our friends at CAS. I have not talked about Indy 11 Park yet, Bart, but we will get into that because I did see that. And apparently now Caleb Wiley, according to Uncle, Caleb Wiley is in concussion protocol. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. And once again, concussions is not something to be messed with. Has to be monitored. Symptoms can come not instantaneously. So it's something that has to be looked at and has to be taken care of when it comes to Caleb Wiley. That was a nasty piece of work, a nasty collision involving Caleb Wiley. And you could see the welt on the broadcast on Peachtree TV that Caleb got a nice welt on his forehead over it. So now apparently Caleb is in concussion protocol, and we'll keep an eye on that. Yes. Well, once again, Unc, it's once we talk about symptoms, and like I said, symptoms sometimes show up later. It's just something that we have to keep an eye on, and we just don't know at the time. And it was monitored at the time, and he was judged, and I was right there next to the bench. He was judged by the physios, gave him the thumbs up to come back in, and it was only for another couple of minutes in the first half. So, like I said, symptoms, they're not instantaneous sometimes. You have to be monitored, and now we see that Caleb, 2 days later, is in concussion protocol, so we'll keep an eye on that. Yes, so Bart's carrying on that conversation. Lifetime ban on Yves Jean Bart, former president of the Haitian Football Federation, was overturned this week. Understood FIFA is going to hold a meeting today to determine their response, with an appeal said to be a real possibility. Thursday, the International Players Union FIFPro raised concerns about, quote, serious, explicit, and extensively documented threats, end quote, that it says were made toward those asked to give evidence. That followed a similar intervention by Human Rights Watch. Jean Bart, banned by FIFA back in November of 2020 for his alleged harassment and sexual abuse against female footballers. He had his suspension overturned by CAS on Tuesday. Despite claims from Human Rights Watch, some alleged victims were threatened into silence, and that one witness was sent a message that told him his coffin was prepared, end quote. According to CAS's statutes, it usually permits appeals only on a very limited number of grounds, including the violation of elementary procedural rules, meaning like a violation of the right to a fair hearing. FIFA is also believed to be considering other potential legal action. The CAS panel, when announcing their verdict, unanimously noted the lack of coherence and inaccuracies in the statements of victims and witnesses presented by FIFA and criticized Human Rights Watch and FIFPro for failing to corroborate or confirm evidence that they had presented to FIFA, describing it as not sufficiently evidentiary. FIFA yesterday criticized the decision, said it would await the full judgment of CAS and FIFA's decision to appeal before commenting in detail. And it said, quote, in light of the serious, explicit, extensively documented threats received by those asked to give evidence and CAS's failure to offer basic anonymity protections such as voice distortion, how does it anticipate ever being able to procure adequate evidence to discipline powerful alleged perpetrators? FIFPro also questioned why the decision had been announced the day before they were scheduled to hear an appeal from the FHF's former head of referees, Rosnick Grant, who was banned for life in May of 2021 by FIFA after being found guilty of committing acts of sexual harassment and abuse. CAS obviously has not responded to the Guardian for comment, so we'll keep an eye on that involving CAS and FIFA. Okay, so Bart sends the link to Indy 11. I did get the news release on Indy 11. Currently, they play on the campus of Indiana University, Purdue, Indianapolis. And they play at the Mike at Mike Carroll. And there's been some renovations there. But it looks like the 11 park designs unveiled and a May 2023 groundbreaking has been announced for Indy 11. Very, very cool renderings are on the Indy 11 website. 11 Park, the transformational neighborhood development set to change the southwest quadrant of downtown Indianapolis. And we're seeing that a lot these days. We're seeing live, work, play. We're seeing it a lot in League One, where you're looking at Lexington. I believe Knoxville is in that way, heading in that direction. Greenville would like to head in that direction. You have Chattanooga, who is heading in that direction. For those of you that go to CHI Memorial and you see all the development going on, the live element is being developed right now in and around CHI Memorial and Eastridge. And you're also going to be seeing that over time. You've got the live element, the shop element going on across the street from Tormenta, from Optum Field Tormenta Stadium down in Statesboro. And you have that going on. So live, work, play. We're seeing it in League One a lot. Now we're seeing it with USL Championship and what Indy 11 wants to do. Diamond Chain, the former company on the property, ceased production at the facility, vacating the property by the end of April. Rezoning to accommodate the project filed yesterday, groundbreaking scheduled to begin in May. 20,000-seat multipurpose stadium, the new permanent home of Indy 11. Development includes over 600 apartments, 205,000 square feet of office space, 197 square feet for retail and restaurants, hotel, public plazas, green space, public parking garage. So once again, live, work, play now in USL Championship with Indy 11. So we'll keep an eye on that. Very, very cool project on the board with the markings from our friends at Indy 11 as they look to work their way from the Mike to Southwest downtown. And I think that's going to be very, very cool. 4,000-seat indoor music and entertainment venue, walkability to the cultural trail and all of downtown. AECom Hunt will be the construction manager. And looks like they want to have everything done where the stadium is concerned by the summer of 2025. So down there is that Southwest anchor as a part of everything. So very, very cool. Yeah, Michael, no question. You hope that Caleb recovers fully and quickly. Absolutely. And so obviously we send our warmest thoughts and all of our love to Caleb as he's in concussion protocol now. But yeah, Bart, it looks like it's by the baseball stadium, not far from Lucas Oil. So it could be a part of that hub, continuing to grow what's going on in the southwest part of Indianapolis. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. We mentioned what's going on with U.S. Open Cup. And get this. We got home games. We got U.S. Open Cup round 2 and Tormenta Stadium, since we mentioned live, work, play. The matchups are out, and it looks like it's going to be a home match for Tormenta at Optum and they're going to go up against RGV, Rio Grande Valley. So March 21st, 22nd, 23rd is what you're looking at here, and just staring at what's going on here in our footprint. You have Club de Lyon, who came in from Nisa. They're going to be playing Nona FC in Winter Park, Florida. Appalachian FC at Ted Mackerel is going to be hosting North Carolina Fusion on the 22nd, Wednesday. So make your plans right now. Beeman United out of the UPSL is going to play Des Moines Menace at MTSU. You also have Tulsa Athletic going up against Brazos Valley, and Park City Red Wolves. They're going to be at UDA Soccer in Las Cruces. Thursday, you've got some matches as well. You've got Project 510 and Crossfire out west. Thursday, you have Cleveland and Lions Bridge. You've got Jacksonville Armada hosting Miami United. You've got Hartford City Lansdowne Yonkers, and you have Ventura County Fusion going up against Capo FC Thursday, March 23rd. So you've got that going on, and that's first round. Second round action. Here's your matchups for the second round. It's Division II versus Division III. And here's where we don't know date or time yet, but we do know locations. Indy 11, we mentioned them. They get a home game against Michigan Stars out of Nisa. Lou City and Lexington, that's going to be a fun one. Loudon hosting North Carolina FC. Pittsburgh Riverhounds hosting Rochester, New York out of MLS Next Pro. The Battery and Savannah Clovers at Patriots Point. That one's going to be a fun one because of the regionality there. You've got One Knoxville hosting Memphis 901. Stephen Glass gets Open Cup in round 2 against One Knoxville. And you've got Chattanooga Red Wolves hosting Birmingham Legion. South Georgia Tormenta hosting Rio Grande Valley Toros. And you've got those 16 games of Division II versus Division III. Also on the board, Division II versus Open Division first round winners. So your layout, you'll have Miami FC playing the winner of Jacksonville Armada and Miami United. Tampa Bay Rowdies taking on the winner of Club de Lyon and Nona. And then you have stuff going on out west. But some very, very interesting things going on. Open Division versus Division III. You've got Des Moines Menace, Richmond Kickers versus either Cleveland SC or Lions Bridge. You've got Charlotte Independence versus the winner of App FC and North Carolina Fusion. So round 2 of the second round of the Open Cup, you're going to have opportunities to catch it here in the footprint here at SDH. Charleston and the Savannah Clovers. One Knoxville and Memphis. Chattanooga hosting Birmingham. South Georgia hosting Rio Grande Valley. Very, very cool. And then you have the Florida teams that we mentioned in other Open Division stuff. So round 2 of the U.S. Open Cup really hits the SDH footprint really hard in a couple of different places. So if you're near it, catch it. Very, very cool stuff going on. And obviously, as we get closer to the season, we'll be catching up with a lot of teams here in the footprint for 1v1s. You'll be listening to that on the network and catching up with players and teams and things like that. So it'll be very, very cool going forward with U.S. Open Cup. There was something else that I saw, and we've been talking about stupidity down here, and it was something that I saw with our friends at Sky, and I've got to see if I can find the article now. And Ricky, they're very, very nice. They are very, very nice. It looks like Brazil is going to be taking the proverbial bull by the horns when it comes to racist chants. And I want to get the article here. The Brazilian FA is going to punish racism with points deductions. Question raised by the British press is, will the FA and UEFA follow suit? The Brazil Football Federation, the CBF, says it will become the first to punish incidents of racism and racist abuse with points deductions. CBF has confirmed a change to their regulations that will initially take effect in the Copa do Brasil, first round taking place starting in 4 days. Combating racism is a priority for CBF President for the CBF president, Ednaldo Rodriguez, who became the first black person to lead the organization in over 100 years when he was elected to the permanent role back in March of 2022. Last month, the country's new president, Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, also announced an increase in penalties for racism and other crimes committed at sporting events in Brazil. So the CBF's new policies for racism. First case, club gets a fine. Second case, club will either play behind closed doors without fans or be forced to play away. Third case, the club will be deducted points. So if you're in Brazil and a part of the CBF, it's the third one. You have to wait, unfortunately, until the third time where a club gets deducted points. So it's a fine, first time out. Either play behind closed doors without fans, forced to play away the second time, deducted points for the third time. So we're getting there. We're getting warmer. CBF, third time, clubs deducted points. Obviously, when the FA was contacted by Sky, they didn't want to comment. Currently, a guilty participant can face up to a 12-game ban in England. Ooh. Clubs can face fines and stadium closures if groups of fans are deemed guilty by the FA. A whole 12-game ban. Ooh. That's intimidating. How are you going to enforce it? How do you enforce these kinds of things? Unless you've got that facial recognition technology that James Dolan has at Madison Square Garden, or if you write something bad about the Knicks, they can see that you're in the building, then kick you out. Unless you got that, how are you going to enforce it? How are you enforcing it currently? That's my big question. How well are you enforcing it currently? How well are you enforcing the laws? How much are you dropping the hammer in England right now? But yeah, you don't want to comment when Brazil, as I said, they're getting warmer. The third time you get a points deduction. Should be a little higher on the scale if you ask me. But a whole 12-game ban. Ooh. Scotland, the SFA currently has stronger powers if participants are found guilty of racism and or discriminatory behavior. Maximum fine for a Premiership club is £750,000, and the governing body can also suspend and or terminate memberships. Okay, there you go. But what about the fan? What about that individual? I mean, we had stuff thrown at Kevin De Bruyne the other day in the 3-1 win over Arsenal. Sorry, Bart. Stuff was thrown at Kevin De Bruyne. And that's the other thing. There are sometimes I get the idea of exiting the field of play on a substitution at the nearest point. I get it. I understand it. You want the game to keep moving. But in this particular case, it appears De Bruyne exits at the most convenient point or the closest point, and that opened the window for folks to start throwing stuff at it. And he's got to walk all the way around to the bench. So we'll keep an eye on that. However, due to laws in Scotland, as the article continues, sorry about that, hit the wrong button. However, due to laws in Scotland, football clubs cannot be held responsible for discriminatory behavior by groups or supporters. A Scottish government spokesperson, quote, "Hatred and bigotry of any kind is completely and utterly unacceptable. Duh. We continue to work with football authorities, Police Scotland, and fans groups to address issues and ensure football matches are a safe and enjoyable experience for everyone," end quote. So you can fine a club up to £750,000. Governing body can suspend or terminate memberships. But because of the laws in Scotland, football clubs can't be held responsible for discriminatory behavior by groups or supporters. Okay. That's two separate lanes of traffic. UEFA and FIFA have also been approached for comment. Remember, Vinicius Jr. has been at the center of a racism scandal over the last 12 months. We went in over that last week. Racially abused on numerous occasions. And it's stupid, and it's got to stop. Rodriguez spoke out against the treatment of Vinicius Jr. and other athletes a couple of weeks ago after the effigy was hung, saying that racism now, quote, goes beyond an attack on dignity and already threatens the physical safety of the victims. The fight against racism is urgent. Measures have been discussed for centuries, never put into practice. CBF is doing its part. We decided to go even further in punishments, and we can even take points away from a club in one of our competitions. But it's the third time, though. Racial discrimination is a crime, and our job is to shed light on the issue. We hope we can have the support of all the clubs, all the fans, all segments of society, all the press, so that this does not remain just cosmetic. Besides the supporting sanctions with any act of racism or any discrimination, the match summary will also be sent to the public prosecutor and to the civil police so that the process does not finish in the sporting sphere and that the offenders are also punished by law. So it looks like you're going to have to self-police, and you're going to have to get some things done. So that's where you are with that this morning. So close, getting warmer, okay, fine. Great, you're getting there. You're getting there, Brazil. Third time, though, is when you get the points deduction. Enforce it to the fullest extent of the law. Don't back down from that kind of a legal challenge. Show that you mean business. Charge whomever and however and with whatever crime is appropriate. Points deduction is a great idea, but it needs to be higher than your third option, I think. That's just me. If you put it up there right off the top, maybe the clubs will sit there and they'll clamp down. Move it one verse higher. Maybe move it one verse higher. Make it the second. All right, next time out, play behind closed doors, you get a points deduction. Subsequent times, you get more points. 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, whatever, however you want to phrase it. But there's some business to do there. Right idea, maybe move it up the scale a little bit. So that's what we're staring at there. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We've got that. We have juice boxes for the weekend. Anything else on your mind as we go here to wrap up yet another week here at SDH? And once again, thanks to all of you guys for being a part of it every single week. For those of you who dial in live here on Twitch every morning starting at 9:05 or 6. Sorry about that. Programming note later today. It is the Soccer Down Here games of the week. It is Central Carroll and Villa Rica. And we're going to be out in Villa Rica. Jason and I will be out there. I will have the girls match for you. Central Carroll going, a very, very young Central Carroll team going up against a team in Villa Rica that's got a lot of firepower. They put up 10 goals twice this year. And Jason will have the boys game for you. Dial it up here on the network, and it will be up later this afternoon here on the SDH network, on the SDH app, available iOS and Android. Your kick times, 5:30 and 7:30, as Villa Rica comes in with a record of 6-1, coming up against Central Carroll with a record of 1-3-1. So we'll be in Villa Rica tonight for Villa Rica and Central Carroll girls and boys, 5:30 and 7:30. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid. Who's chasing who? What does it look like? And we'll get into all of the other action that's going on, give you juice boxes before we go on a bunch of different things. So here you go. Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United monitoring Mason Mount's contract situation at Chelsea. They've offered Mount in a swap deal, Chelsea has, to make Joao Felix's loan move into a permanent transfer. That comes from our friends at Marsa. Several of the Premier League top clubs have been alerted to the possibility of Neymar. That's from 90 Minutes. We'll keep an eye on that. Chelsea, probably just because of the money involved, they're probably at the front of the line. Lionel Messi's father held talks with PSG on Thursday as they look to agree on a new contract. That's from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. And we mentioned groups in Saudi Arabia and Qatar looking to buy Manchester United. Remember, 5 o'clock. Keep an eye on 5 o'clock East Coast time, because that's when the bids are due here. Bayern Munich have told Manchester United they will need to pay £18 million to sign Marcel Sabitzer on a permanent deal. Real Madrid eyeing a move for Diogo Dalot, who's yet to renew his contract at Old Trafford. Arsenal have sent their scouts to watch Atletico Paranaense's Victor Roque. Barcelona also keen on the 17-year-old, also likely to attract a fee of more than £50 million. Newcastle, Real Madrid, Manchester City, PSG, all interested in Napoli's Kavica Kvaratskhelia. But the Serie A side would want well in excess of £50 million for the 22-year-old. Newcastle also watching Ivan Fresneda at Real Valladolid. May only make a move for the Spaniard if they qualify for Champions League next year. Real Madrid's Carlo Ancelotti says he doesn't care if a Spanish midfielder Marco Asensio signs a new deal with the club or he leaves. Southampton, West Ham, both in contract negotiations in contact with the reps of Nice's Turam Mofi. Former Tottenham boss Harry Redknapp would open to be a return to management should Leeds ask him to come out of retirement. He addressed that again this morning, and he said, "Let me get the phrasing right when it comes to it, because he did talk about it this morning, and I want to get the wording correct." He said, I think he said he would be insane to chase after it, because I think he's tied to Huddersfield or something like that. So let me get the words. So let me get the words to what is up with the news and the championship. So let me dial this up, because like I said, I want to get this. I want to get this right, because it was airy, and it was a pretty good quote. So let me see. Where is it? Tried to find it, and of course now I can't find it. So let's do the Google search here. Harry Redknapp and Leeds. So Harry Redknapp, Leeds United. Okay. So, and of course this comes from Talk Sport. So Airy has dismissed the Leeds rumors because it clashes with Cheltenham, but jokes he would keep the Whites in the Premier League. So he's dismissed the report. Searching for a new manager. Reports on Thursday claim that he contacted Leeds to let them know of his interest. They weren't rebuffed by Carlos Corberán. West Brom signed Carlos Corberán to a new deal. And they had talks with Rayo Vallecano head coach Andoni Iraola and Feyenoord's Arne Slot. They have yet to make a permanent appointment. Harry Redknapp has distanced himself from the job because it would clash with the Cheltenham Festival in March. Quote, "I would do it, but it coincides with Cheltenham Week. I've got a couple of runners, so I really can't give that up. I don't know where the rumor came from. Someone rang me yesterday and said, it's not April 1, is it? Came out of the air. I would do it. I wouldn't say no anywhere, but there's no chance I will get the Leeds job." When TalkSport contacted Redknapp Thursday, he told football correspondent Alex Crook he was too busy helping out his wife, Sandra. The veteran boss did joke he'd be a decent candidate for the job. "I'd go there for no wages and take a bonus for keeping them up." He's been out of management since 2017 when he last managed Birmingham City. He's got a good record of keeping teams away from relegation in the Premier League, according to TalkSport. Charge of Portsmouth in 2006, 2 losses in their final 10 to stay in the Prem. That gave them their famous FA Cup run in 2008, going all the way before he joined Spurs. Had a Champions League quarterfinal run, 2011, losing to Real Madrid. Since retiring from management, the 75-year-old's gone on to appear on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, where he was crowned King of the Jungle in 2018, whatever that means. So, youth and reserves manager Michael Skubala has taken charge of the first team on an interim basis. Chris Armas is there in support. They will oversee matches against Southampton and Everton, which will be crucial in determining their league status. Paco Gallardo and Chris Armas will be there with Skubala. And so that's where you are with the club. And Airy, who was linked to Leeds. Nottingham Forest attempting to register English defender Steve Cook back into their squad before facing Manchester City on the weekend. So that's your early notes from what's going on in the gossip, rumor, and innuendo section. We'll see what's happening in the papers as we stare at them from the British side of the pond. We mentioned all the Qatari investment. And so blowing through the 3- and 4-letter papers, as we always do, because once again, you tie yourself to information from those papers. Take the information at your own peril. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid would not burden the club with any debt if it was successful over at Manchester United, rejecting any leveraged buyout of the type used by the Glazer family. Let's see. So Daily Star, Mark Cucurella from Chelsea has been left unsettled in West London after becoming the latest footballer to be the victim of a burglary at his home, avoiding the 3-letter paper. Aston Villa looking to sign defender Ibrahima Bamba from Vitória in the summer as a part of the Portuguese team's integration into the Midland side as a part of their new multi-club structure. A letter urging UEFA to block the Qatari takeover of Manchester United has been sent to the governing body's president, Alexander Sefrin, citing concerns about, quote, the integrity of the game, end quote. Neymar, also according to the Daily Mirror, is facing more questions about his professionalism after he was pictured playing poker and then eating at McDonald's following PSG's Champions League defeat of Bayern Munich. I will say this. There is nothing wrong with a double quarter pounder with cheese, but you've got to be in the mood. Frankly, for me, I can't have McDonald's fries. They have too much salt. But you give me a quarter pounder, you give me a double quarter pounder with cheese, sometimes even just a slight hamburger, reminds me of Boom Like That from Mark Knopfler. Shake, fries, patty, you're gone. Playing poker in Manchester United. I mean, and eating at a McDonald's. I mean, dude, if you want McDonald's, it's McDonald's. Why? What is unprofessional about playing poker and eating at McDonald's? If you're, in shape and you want to continue to do it, go for it. You probably work it off at practice the following day. Nothing wrong with that. Also on the board this morning from the papers, Atletico Madrid have emerged as potential candidates to sign Liverpool forward Roberto Firmino in the summer because Liverpool's running out of time down to a new deal. Also, a Daily Express, Manchester United showing signs of interest in Paulo Dybala. Foreign clubs able to sign him for a bargain, £11 million in the summer because of a release clause. Here's your full quote about Carlo Ancelotti. Arsenal's hopes of signing Marco Asensio on a free have been boosted. Ancelotti playing down the chances of him signing a new deal. Quote, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't care much. Yeah, there you go. Daily Record, former Aberdeen defender Calvin Ramsey, now with Liverpool, unlikely to play again this season after having surgery on his back. Gordon Strachan was the big mover in the betting market to become Aberdeen's next manager, is now one of the favorites alongside current interim boss Barry Robson. Now, soccer on the telly this weekend, and there's going to be a lot of it. Yes, that is true. Yes, that is absolutely true, Tom. Absolutely true. It is well established. Salt make things way too tasty for me. I mean, like I said, I was raised in an environment that was low salt, no salt. I was raised there. I was just raised in that environment. So I can tell legitimately when there is just the least amount of salt on the food that is there. I can taste it. I mean, even if somebody just sits there and goes, and there's just a little bit, you take like a pinch. And then, and my mom, Ricky, just to kind of pull back the curtain here a little bit, my mom, when we were, because I was one of 3 kids in the house, never too late to change. But I mean, I will say this. I mean, I can't eat anything that has too much salt. And I know that too much salt, Tom, is a relative term that you can put in air quotes. But yeah, I mean, literally, if there's too much salt in something, I will push the plate away. But no, my mom was she was really into the health food kicks. And so, like I said, we barely had salt on our food. And if you couldn't cook something with what was there naturally, so if something that was there naturally, then it's just how it goes. You see now, yeah, I mean, Emilio doesn't use salt either. Valve Repair will do that. And, so my mom was kind of a health food junkie and we used low salt, no salt. And so that's why I can tell the difference, so literally, and I'm that sensitive to it. So, yeah, I just can't do McDonald's fries. And I will literally ask for them to put the salt packets to the side if I go to a fast food restaurant and tell them, don't salt the fries, just put the salt packets to the side and then I'll do it myself. And then I traditionally won't do it. Then I'll leave the salt packets at the table. But yeah, I can't. Soccer on television. U.S. Soccer forecasts record revenues in the new fiscal year from Paul Kennedy yesterday. March 18, the AGM is going to take place in San Diego, first fully on-site event since the 2020 AGM in Nashville. Proposed budget for fiscal year of 24 calls for an operating deficit of $9.5 billion on record revenues of $172.68 million. Deficit for the fiscal year budgeted at $30.67 million. Forecast deficit for fiscal 23 is now $45.96 million. Federation's fiscal year begins April 1, ends March 31. Deficit for fiscal year 2022 a little over $25 million after being budgeted at more than $40 million, later projected a year ago to be a surplus of $5.69 million. It is important to note the legal settlement. This is from Paul Kennedy at Soccer America. The legal settlement of $24 million with the members of the U.S. Women's National Team was then charged to fiscal year 22. Payments of $22 million minus about $6.8 million in attorney's fees and litigation costs paid to the class members over more than 3 years via 4 interest-free installments. U.S. Soccer agreed to spend another $2 million on post-career goals and charitable efforts related to women's and girls soccer. So there's your notes on the current record revenues for U.S. Soccer. Soccer today, BN and BN Español Liga at 3 o'clock, Auxerre and Lyon. Fox Deportes tonight, Friday Night Football, Juarez and León. 2:00 has Puebla and Cruz Azul at 9. The Plus has Bundesliga at 2:20, Augsburg and Hoffenheim. Bundesliga 2, Paderborn and Kaiserslautern at 12:30. The Championship at 3, Cardiff City and Reading at 3. La Liga Santander, Girona, Almeria at 2:30. Paramount Plus, Argentine Primera. Gimnasia La Plata Instituto at 4, and a doubleheader at 7:30. Arsenal, Racing Club, Huracan, Barraca Central. Serie A at 2:45, Sassuolo and Napoli. Saturday, I'll just tell you, because there's a lot of it out there, just tell you where to go and where to look. BN and Español, Liga doubleheader, 11 and 3. And Bordeaux and Paris FC in Ligue 2. That's at 9 a.m. Premier League's on Big NBC at 12:30. Newcastle and Liverpool. USA has 7:30 and 10 o'clock. And there's a boatload of games Saturday in the 10 o'clock window. So probably you should watch Goal Rush if you can on Peacock while it's still free. BN and Español simulcasting what we talked about earlier. ESPN Deportes, 4 matches in a row. Quadruple header, La Liga Santander. Real Madrid Osasuna brings it all home at 3 o'clock. Fox Deportes Liga MX at 6. 2:00. It is Sábado Gigante, Sábado Futbolero, 6, 8, and 10 triple header on 2:00. Univision, 8 and 10 as well, simulcasting the games that you have on 2:00. Universo has your triple header from the Premier League, 7:30, 10, and 12:30. On the Plus, here you go. Belgium, Bundesliga, Eredivisie, Feyenoord, AZ Alkmaar. You can watch Georgi Mihailovic at 3. 2 games in the Championship at 7:30 and 10. Women's Cup of Nations, doubleheader, 10:45 and 2. Your quadruple header, La Liga Santander, is also on the Plus. La Liga Smart Bank, Leganés and Las Palmas is at 12:20. Fox Soccer Plus gives you the USA and the Dominican Republic and the CONCACAF U17s at 5. Paramount Plus, 5 matches from the Argentine Primera, 3 matches in Serie A, 9, noon, and 2:45. Peacock has your 5 matches at 10 o'clock in the Premier League, plus Newcastle, Liverpool at 12:30. And VIX Plus has the USA and the Dominican Republic in the U17s in the Men's Championship. That is also at 5 o'clock. Now, let's get into juice boxes for today while we can. Once again, as always, right now, you're looking at stuff, Middle East, North Africa, Asia, working your way forward. There might be some lower division stuff going on in Eastern Europe with what we're seeing. But, yeah, Middle East, North Africa going strong right now. We'll see if we can get you to the leagues that have the afternoon stuff going on. A lot of lower division stuff, even lower division stuff in Mexico going on right now, as a matter of fact. A lot of club friendlies starting at noon on the women's side. Regional Bundesligas all the way through. Germany's very, very busy in the 1 o'clock hour. Liga Premier Serie A, the third division in Mexico, is going on at 1 o'clock. You've got National League in France, National Leagues in Germany carrying you through the 1. More friendlies, CAF Champions Leagues going on in Africa starting at 2 o'clock for you folks that really want to go chasing and find things on your favorite VPNs. Augsburg and Hoffenheim at 2:30. Since we mentioned it, Juicebox purveyors pretty much have a blanket over both. It's within the margin of error. Hoffenheim at a plus 160, Augsburg at a plus 167. Also looking at Serie A, Sassuolo, Napoli. Napoli's a minus 159 at 245, going to Sassuolo at a plus 438. Scottish Championships going on. Primera's in Argentina. Cardiff and Reading. Jess Charman will keep an eye on this one. Reading's at a plus 320 at Cardiff, who's at a minus 102. Also, you've got La Liga, Girona, Almeria. Girona's a minus 118 as a favorite. Almeria's a plus 346. You've got lower divisions now later in the afternoon, getting into Central and South America. All the Copas going on and Campeonatos going on in Brazil. Liga de Expansión in Liga MX is at 6 o'clock. Argentina Primera, we mentioned those. Aldo Civi, since we've mentioned them on soccer over there, they're a dog on the road at Gimnasia Jujuy. And Racing Cordoba is a favorite at home over Estudiantes. Primera, also Primera Nacional. Liga Profesional, since we mentioned these at 7:30. Huracan, a big favorite, as Barraca Central visits at a plus 535. Huracan, so minus 175. Racing Club, minus 159 at Arsenal Sarandi at a plus 487. Once again, all these numbers are the composites brought to us by our friends at Odds Portal. Liga MX, 806. Juarez, Club Leon. Club Leon a plus 148. Juarez is a plus 177. Your draws a plus 229. Our friends from Alajuelense are up at 9 o'clock, taking on Grecia at a minus 333. 10:05 Puebla and Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul is a plus 139, and Puebla is a plus 181 at home, and that gets you through your action on your Friday night. Very, very busy on Friday. So before we go, let's see if there's anything else going on in the world when it comes to here we go. Meant to talk about this. The Aaron Ramsdale situation. According to our friends at The Guardian, the man who kicked Aaron Ramsdale has been ordered to pay compensation. Joseph Watts has also been given a 4-year football ban after admitting to an assault at the end of the North London derby. The Ramsdale kicked in the back after Arsenal beat Tottenham 2-0 back on the 15th of January. Joseph Watts pleaded guilty at an Uxbridge Magistrates Court to assault by beating, going onto an area adjacent to the playing area and throwing a missile onto a football playing area. Watts, a Tottenham supporter, handed a 12-month community order made to pay £100 in compensation to Ramsdale, have to carry out 150 hours of unpaid work. Also receives a 4-year football banning order, meaning he cannot attend matches. Once again, 12-month community order, fine. $100 in compensation to Ramsdale? $100. Seriously, $100. That'll make an impact. That'll show them. 150 hours of unpaid work, 4-year football ban, 4 years. So let's take out 1 and 3, 12-month community order, 150 hours of community service. We'll take those out. Let's focus on the even numbers here, 2 and 4. £100 in compensation for charging basically onto the advert board behind the goal for Aaron Ramsdale, kicking Aaron Ramsdale. It's $100. Plus a 4-year football ban. As we mentioned earlier, I'd love to know how you're going to enforce it. I would love to know how you're going to enforce this. I really, really would. Can someone at the appropriate office or area of legality please tell me how you're going to enforce this ban, this football ban? Is it just for Spurs matches? Is it for every match? You're going to have his picture hanging at every gate in every stadium in England, at every level of the EFL, where he can't even attend a Wrexham match? You're going to have his grill on a piece of paper, like the post office has like the top 10 most wanted dudes in America. Is Joseph Watts now going to be with his face taped to every gate in every stadium in the EFL now? Is this just for Spurs? For Spurs matches? Seriously. $100 to Aaron Ramsdale on a 4-year football ban. The guy has no business being at another match ever again. Ever, ever, ever in the history of ever. Never. Ever, never. 4 years that I'd love to know how you're going to enforce. And a $100 fine. Deputy District Judge said the assault was a relatively short-lived, comprising a single blow. When individuals lose self-control, it can have a ripple effect. In this case, there should have been a significant risk of serious public order. It has had some psychological effects, and Aaron Ramsdale will have this in the back of his mind when he goes to the work in the future. Absolutely correct. But it's a $100 fine and a 4-year ban. Ramsdale, in a victim statement read to the court, said he saw a masseuse because his back felt heavy, but there were no marks. Added, I've never had someone enter the pitch and kick me. I don't think it's acceptable that I should be assaulted at work. But sure, $100 fine and a 4-year ban. $100 fine and a 4-year ban. England International also told of being wary of similar incidents happening in the future. Watts, who admitted being drunk, having had 6 pints, also threw 4 coins toward the pitch. Probation service told the court Watts, who has a 13-year-old daughter, was disgusted, embarrassed, and ashamed about his behavior. Then why'd you do it in the first place? You got a 13-year-old daughter. The example that you should set should be on a daily basis in and away from sporting events. But when you go to a sporting event, you got 6 pints, you throw 4 coins, and you kick Aaron Ramsdale in the back. The repercussion, $100 fine and a 4-year ban. Football Association strongly condemned what happened. Spurs, violence in any form has no place in football. Kevin Christie, the district crown prosecutor for football lead for North London. The North London derby is a passionate match between 2 rivals, but fans should never get too caught up in the emotion and cross the line into criminal behavior. Watts was captured on live television kicking the Arsenal goalkeeper after letting his temper boil over as his side lost. The result of his actions means he can no longer see his team play live. 4 years. 4 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. That's it. $100 fine. That's it. Think about it. For half a second, think about it. Ramsdale's now wary. I mean, this is like, think about when you've had folks charge out of the stands in the past. Pick your incident. It's fine. We know a lot of them in our head. Those athletes are now wary and are looking over their shoulder each and every time something like this now happens. Aaron Ramsdale's going to be looking over his shoulder now, especially in stadia that have tight quarters. Arsenal continues to win. They're in tight quarters. Stamford Bridge, Goodison Park, the Vitality. Insert stadium here that you know has tight quarters. Think about European competition. Now Aaron Ramsdale's going to have this thought in the back of his mind every single time he turns around and it's closed quarters behind him in a place like that. $100 fine and 4-year ban. $100 fine and a 4-year ban. Also on the board, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. This is from Andy Hunter, once again at The Guardian. This came up yesterday. And this kind of seems, my apologies to both Ropes and to Tom, this kind of seems to be the microcosm of the season at Everton. Sean Dyche has said Dominic Calvert-Lewin's car, mattress, and sleep patterns will be looked at as a part of a wide-ranging investigation into the striker's fitness problems. He will miss the match against Leeds with a hamstring injury sustained in Sean Dyche's first match in charge. 25-year-old has been restricted to 30 appearances over the last 2 seasons by a variety of injury problems. Everton failed to sign a goal scorer last summer or in January. Sean Dyche, quote, I've got to learn a lot about his history, his physiological history. I've got to learn what his body will and won't take, which is what we're trying to do now. We're speaking to him, the medic, sports scientists, looking at the stats, training programs, distance covered, high-speed running, how many kilometers in a week, what's his diet like, what's his lifestyle like, what car does he drive, what mattress does he use, how many hours does he sleep at night. That's learning about people. Biggest learning is what is in here, and he pointed to his head. That's the hard part. I'll get all the information I can, then share it with him. That's the process for every player, by the way, not just him, end quote. 2 words for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. sleep number or something like that. So keep an eye on that as well. And also, Bart, a couple of things to keep an eye on next time that you come on. From The Guardian, the referees are going to get body cameras in English grassroots leagues to tackle abuse. 4 leagues are involved in a trial after the go-ahead from IFAB, and the FA wants to see the impact of behavior on players and coaches. So keep an eye on that. So busy weekend all across the board, and we'll be right through with it. We'll be right here with you. So busy weekend once again. Busy week here at SDH. And thanks to all of you guys for making it what it is. All the programming that we have, all the voices that we have, all the different stories that we get to tell you during the week. Couldn't do it without you. And we are, this time next week, by the way, we will have our first weekend whip around of the season. First weekend whip around of the season, a week from today, which means it's a match week next week. We're that close to matches counting. Remember, Atlanta United's in St. Louis to take on St. Louis City SC behind closed doors tomorrow. We'll see what information comes out of that, because that is behind closed doors. So we'll see what happens after the minutes that were played in the AmFam Cup, now the minutes that are going to get played in St. Louis. Week later, San Jose comes to town, and it's for real, kids. Don't forget to figure out your season pass and all that other stuff. Yeah, Ricky, last Friday without soccer on the weekend for a while. You are absolutely true. Absolutely true. So we got, once again, we got games of the week tonight, 5:30, 7:30. It is Central Carroll at Villa Rica, girls and boys. I'll be on the call for the girls match. Jason will be on call for the boys match. And dress warmly if you're going out to any matches tonight to support your local teams. Supposed to be, by the time we get home, in the high 20s. So keep an eye on all that stuff as the front blows through, and hopefully the weather will be less crappy than it was when the show started this morning. So thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us once again, as you always do. And that's a week here at SDH. Games of the week later today. Programming on the weekend. We'll do it again 9:05 Monday morning, or maybe 9:06. We'll see. But since it is the end of another week here at SDH, that means I get to do this. Mucha Platiel, played safe, and we will catch up with you later this afternoon with the SDH High School Games of the Week.